December 24th, 2025. Bamako, the capital of Mali, a military airbase, thousands of soldiers standing in perfect formation, 3 flags rising together against the African sky. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, 3 nations that were told they could never survive alone. 3 nations that were told they needed France. 3 nations that were told to stay quiet, stay obedient, stay controlled. They did not listen. On this day, something happened that will be written in history books for generations. General Assimi Goïta of Mali stepped forward. In his hands, a ceremonial sash, the symbol of leadership for the Alliance of Sahel States. He turned to the man beside him, a 37-year-old captain, slim build, red beret, white military uniform, without a single decoration of ego. The youngest head of state in the world. The man who told France to leave his country. The man who survived 5 assassination attempts. The man who sleeps in military barracks while running an entire nation. Goïta placed that sash on Traore's shoulders. And in that moment, everything changed. Traoré did not just become the chairman of an alliance. He became the symbol of a new Africa, the voice of 90 million people across 3 nations, the commander of a unified military force, the leader that France could not stop, could not buy, could not kill. Now, I need to stop here for a moment, because if you are watching this video, you are not here by accident. You are here because something inside you knows that the world is changing, that Africa is changing, that the old stories they told us are falling apart. And I need you to do something, right now, before you forget. I am serious. This is not about my channel. This is about sending a message. Every like tells the algorithm that people want to hear the truth about Africa. Every like pushes this video to someone who needs to see it. So hit that button now. And then drop a comment. Tell me where you are watching from. I want to see the map of Africa light up. Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, Cameroon, Senegal. The diaspora in London, in Paris, in New York, in Toronto. Show me that we are watching. Show me that we are paying attention. Done? Beautiful. Now let me tell you the full story. Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, you just found the one place on YouTube where we tell the truth about Africa. No Western filters, no colonial narratives, no lies dressed up as news. Just facts, just history, just the story they don't want you to hear. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that notification bell, because what I am about to tell you changes everything. Let me take you back, way back, 1960, the year most African nations gained independence. But here is the thing about that independence. It was a lie. France did not truly leave West Africa. They just changed the method of control. Instead of soldiers on every corner, they used something more elegant, more invisible, more effective. First, the currency, the CFA franc. Sounds harmless, right? Just money. But here is the secret. The CFA franc is printed in France, controlled by the French treasury. African nations using this currency must deposit 50% of their foreign reserves in French banks. Let me say that again. 50% of everything these nations earn, sitting in Paris, earning interest for France. For 60 years, this system drained billions from West Africa, and no one could challenge it. France kept troops stationed across the Sahel. They called it security cooperation. They said they were fighting terrorists. But funny thing about those terrorists, they never seemed to go away. The more France helped, the worse the security became. Almost like instability was useful for someone. Third, the political control. African presidents who played nice got support. Those who challenged France, they got coups, they got sanctions, they got assassinated. Thomas Sankara, the revolutionary president of Burkina Faso, he challenged French control. He was murdered in 1987. His best friend Blaise Compaoré, backed by France, took over. This was the system. Invisible chains, economic slavery dressed up as partnership. For 60 years, Africans were told this was normal, this was necessary, this was the only way. And then came 2022. A young captain in Ouagadougou had seen enough. Ibrahim Traoré grew up in Bondakui, a small village in western Burkina Faso. No running water, no electricity when he was young, just dust roads and big dreams. He studied geology at the University of Ouagadougou. Could have chased money, chased comfort, chased a quiet life, but he didn't. He joined the military. He trained in Morocco. He served with United Nations peacekeepers in Mali. He fought terrorists in the north of his own country. He watched his friends die. He watched his nation bleed. And he watched his leaders do nothing. The president at the time, Roch Kabore, was more interested in pleasing Paris than protecting his people. Soldiers went into battle without ammunition, without proper equipment, without hope. Traore had enough. In September 2022, he led a group of young officers in a takeover. Not for power, not for wealth, for change. He was 34 years old, the youngest head of state in the world. And within weeks, he did what no Burkinabe leader had done in 60 years. He told France to leave. Not with diplomatic language, not with careful negotiations. Directly. Your troops have 30 days to exit our territory. The French could not believe it. They tried to negotiate. They tried to pressure. They tried everything. It did not work. By February 2023, the last French soldier left Burkina Faso. 60 years of military presence, gone, because one young captain said no. But here is what separates Traore from every other revolutionary you have ever heard of. He did not stop there. Most leaders would have declared victory, gone back to business as usual, maybe skimmed some money, built a mansion, bought a private jet. Traore did the opposite. He cut his own salary. He lives in military barracks, not a presidential palace. He drives himself to meetings in a simple vehicle. No motorcade of 50 cars. No gold watches. No Swiss bank accounts. And more importantly, he understood something profound. One country standing alone can be crushed. France could isolate Burkina Faso, sanction it, destabilize it, fund opposition groups. The playbook was well tested. But 3 countries standing together, that is a different game entirely. So Traoré started building. Mali had already kicked out French forces under General Assimi Goïta. Niger followed in 2023 under General Abdourahmane Chiani, after their own revolution. 3 countries, 3 young military leaders, 3 nations tired of being told what to do by people who had never walked their streets. In September 2023, they signed the Charter of the Alliance of Sahel States. The AES was born. Now let me tell you what they have built, because this is not just symbolism. This is not just speeches. This is real power, concrete achievements. The unified force of the Alliance of Sahel States. 5,000 soldiers. Think about that number. 5,000 trained military personnel drawn from all three nations. Same command structure, same intelligence network, same mission. This force was officially launched on December 20th, 2025, 4 days before Traore became chairman. A Burkina general, Dauda Traore, was appointed commander. Headquarters in Niamey, Niger's capital. This is not a symbolic gesture. This is a functional, integrated military alliance, the first of its kind in modern African history. But military power alone is not enough. Traore knows this, so they built financial infrastructure. The AES Investment and Development Bank, their own financial institution. No IMF conditions attached. No World Bank structural adjustment programs. No foreign consultants telling them what to do. African money for African projects, decided by Africans. This bank will fund roads, schools, hospitals, factories. It will provide loans to entrepreneurs. It will finance the dreams of 90 million people without asking permission from anyone. Then there is media, the AES television network, launched at the same summit. Their own cameras, their own journalists, their own truth. For years, Western media painted these leaders as dictators, coup plotters, Russian puppets. The only voices that reached international audiences were hostile ones. Now they have their own platform. When Traore speaks, the world can hear his actual words, not filtered, not edited, not twisted. This is information sovereignty, and it might be the most important thing they have built. Then there is the AES passport. Citizens of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger can now travel freely across all three nations. Same document, same rights, same identity. Think about what this means. For decades, these countries were separated by borders drawn in Berlin in 1885. Europeans sat around a table and carved up Africa like a cake. No Africans present, no consideration for ethnic groups, trade routes, or historical connections. Those borders divided families. They separated markets. They weakened everyone. Now those borders are being erased, not with war, with policy, with cooperation, with vision. A Burkinabe farmer can now sell his goods in Niger without harassment. A Malian student can study in Ouagadougou without paperwork nightmares. A Nigerian entrepreneur can open a business in Bamako. This is economic integration. This is nation building beyond nation states. This is the future. Now let me tell you about the summit itself. Bamako, December 2025, the second annual AES Summit. Thousands of soldiers line the streets, flags everywhere, an atmosphere of celebration and determination. Inside the conference center, 24 hours of meetings, protocols signed, agreements reached, the architecture of a new Sahel taking shape. 4 new protocols were added to the founding treaty. Defense coordination, how the 3 armies will work together. Chain of command, intelligence sharing, joint operations planning, diplomatic alignment, speaking with one voice in international forums, coordinating positions at the United Nations, presenting a unified front to the world, development planning, shared infrastructure projects, cross-border roads, energy grids, water management, agricultural cooperation, and parliamentary integration. A confederal assembly representing all 3 nations, a step toward shared governance. These are not vague promises. These are legal frameworks, binding commitments. The AES is not a friendship club. It is a proto-state, a confederation in the making. General Goita, handing over the presidency, gave a powerful speech. He praised the exceptional courage, unwavering professionalism, and resolute determination of all three nations' defense forces. Then he listed the results, real results. Several terrorist bases destroyed, multiple insurgent sanctuaries eliminated, thousands of displaced people returning home. This is not failure. This is progress. Documented, measurable, real. For years, Western analysts predicted that these regimes would collapse, that the security situation would spiral out of control, that Africa could not manage its own affairs. They were wrong. When Traore accepted the chairmanship, he did not boast. He did not celebrate. He did not list his achievements. He warned. He spoke of what he called the Black Winter. Listen to these words carefully. The Black Winter is a coming phase of external threats, economic pressure, and coordinated destabilization aimed at breaking our alliance. Our enemies have not given up. They are adapting, they are planning, and we must be ready. This is not a leader who thinks the fight is over. This is a leader who knows it has just begun. He called for vigilance, for unity, for sacrifice. The AES belongs to all Africans who desire sovereignty, independence, and total freedom. This is not about three countries. This is about a continent. This is about dignity. This is about our children and their children. When he finished speaking, the room stood. Not polite applause, a standing ovation that lasted minutes. Because everyone in that room understood. This was not just politics. This was history being written. Now let me connect this to you. If you are African, watching this from Lagos or Nairobi or Johannesburg, this matters because Traore is proving something. He is proving that Africa can say no to external control and survive. He is proving that young leaders can emerge and deliver. He is proving that unity is possible. Every success in the Sahel becomes a model for the rest of the continent. If Burkina Faso can build a unified military force, why not East Africa? If Mali can create its own investment bank, why not Central Africa? If Niger can forge a shared passport system, why not all of Africa? The questions spread. The possibilities multiply. The old excuses crumble. If you are part of the diaspora, watching from London or Paris or Atlanta, this matters because the motherland is rising. For generations, Africans abroad were told to feel ashamed, to assimilate, to forget where they came from. The continent was portrayed as hopeless, corrupt, violent, dependent. That narrative is dying. When you see Traore standing in Bamako, receiving the leadership of a powerful alliance, you are watching a different story being written, a story of agency, a story of self-determination, a story you can be proud of. If you are anyone, anywhere, who believes in sovereignty and self-determination, this matters because principles are being tested. Either nations have the right to choose their own path, or they do not. Either Africans can decide Africa's future, or outsiders will continue to do so. Traore is drawing a line, and the side you stand on says everything about your values. Now, let me address something important. I am not here to tell you that Traore is perfect. No leader is perfect. No government is without flaws. There are legitimate debates about civil liberties in Burkina Faso, about press freedom, about the pace of democratic transition, about human rights in conflict zones. Those debates should happen. They matter. But here's what Western media will never tell you. Those are internal debates, African debates, for Africans to have, for Africans to resolve, not for Paris to dictate, not for Washington to lecture, not for Brussels to impose conditions. The era of external powers deciding what Africa should do is ending. Traore is one of the people ending it. That is the core story. Whether you agree with every policy or not, you cannot deny the significance. A new power structure is emerging in the Sahel, and it was built by Africans for Africans, without permission from anyone. Let me give you some numbers that the mainstream media will never highlight. Since the AES was formed, cross-border trade between the three countries has increased by over 30%. Farmers are accessing new markets. Merchants are reaching new customers. Economies are connecting. Infrastructure projects are underway. New roads linking Ouagadougou to Niamey. New bridges crossing rivers that used to divide communities. New power lines bringing electricity to villages that lived in darkness. Agricultural production in Burkina Faso has increased dramatically. The country announced food self-sufficiency in 2025. A nation that used to depend on food aid is now feeding itself. Mining revenues are being captured domestically. Gold that used to be shipped raw to foreign refineries is now being processed locally. Jobs created, value added, wealth retained. These are not fantasies. These are documented achievements. You can verify them, but you will not see them on CNN. You will not read about them in the New York Times, because progress does not fit the narrative of African failure. Let me paint a picture for you. December 24th, 2025, evening. The summit has concluded. The cameras are off. The journalists have filed their stories. The formal ceremonies are over. 3 presidents stand together in a private room. Goita of Mali, Traore of Burkina Faso, Chiani of Niger. No French advisors present. No American diplomats listening. No European observers taking notes. Just 3 African leaders deciding the future of 90 million people, planning the next year of their alliance, dreaming about what their children might inherit. For 60 years, every major decision affecting this region was made with foreign powers in the room, shaping outcomes, protecting interests, extracting concessions. Not anymore. That image, 3 Africans alone deciding Africa's future, is more powerful than any weapon, any sanction, any threat, because it proves something that generations were told was impossible. Africa can stand alone. Africa can stand together. Africa can lead itself. Now let me tell you what comes next. Traore's chairmanship runs for 1 year. 12 months to consolidate gains and launch new initiatives. The priorities are clear. Security first. The unified force will conduct major operations against terrorist groups. The goal is to reclaim territory and allow displaced people to return home. Economic integration second. More trade agreements, more infrastructure projects, more opportunities for citizens to benefit from the alliance. Diplomatic expansion third. The AES is not closed. Other African nations who share the vision of sovereignty are welcome. Already, there are conversations happening with Chad, with Guinea, with others. The alliance could grow. The model could spread. The implications are enormous. Imagine an AES that spans from Senegal to Sudan, from the Sahara to the Gulf of Guinea, a block of 200 million people, vast natural resources, strategic geography. That block would be impossible to ignore, impossible to sanction into submission, impossible to control. That is the fear in Paris. That is the fear in Washington. That is why you will never see positive coverage of what is happening in the Sahel, because success is contagious, and Traore is proving that success is possible. Let me leave you with a final thought. History does not happen to passive observers. History happens because people choose to act. Thomas Sankara chose to act in 1983. Patrice Lumumba chose to act in 1960. He was killed for it. Muammar Gaddafi chose to act. He was killed for it. The list of African leaders who challenged the system and paid the ultimate price is long and tragic. Traoré knows he is on that list. He has said so publicly. He accepts the risk. I am not afraid to die for Burkina Faso. What I fear is living while my people suffer. Those are not the words of a dictator clinging to power. Those are the words of a revolutionary willing to sacrifice everything. Whether he succeeds or fails, whether he lives or dies, what he has started cannot be stopped. The idea is out. The model exists. The proof is visible. Africa can unite. Africa can resist. Africa can build. 90 million people in 3 countries are living that reality today. And you are watching it happen. So here is my final ask. If this video meant something to you, I need you to act. First, like this video. It costs you nothing. It takes 1 second, but it tells the algorithm that this content matters, that people want to see it, that the truth about Africa deserves a platform. Hit that like button right now. Second, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. We are building something here, a community that cares about Africa, a space where the real story gets told. Every subscriber strengthens that mission. Third, share this video. Send it to one person who needs to see it. Post it on your social media. Drop it in a WhatsApp group. Let it spread. The mainstream media will not tell this story. We have to tell it ourselves. We have to be the algorithm that spreads truth. Finally, leave a comment. Tell me where you are watching from. Tell me what you think about Traore. Tell me what you want to see next. Tell me your story. I read every single comment. This is not a monologue. This is a conversation, and your voice matters. 3 countries, 1 alliance, 1 leader. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, the Alliance of Sahel States, and at its center, a 37-year-old captain from a dusty village in western Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré, the man France could not stop, the leader Africa chose, the future they said was impossible, happening right before our eyes. History is being written. Pay attention. Until next time.